Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about a new concept how to deal with controlled components. So, we discussed about how to work with controlled components. So, what are controlled components? So, what is difference between controlled and uncontrolled components? Uncontrolled component means they are individual, they don't need any data coming from any another component. They can individually work, but controlled components depends on the manipulations and the data of parent. The parent component have to send data into the child. They depend and they are controlled by parent. So we call these as what? Controlled components. So after understanding how to deal with these controlled components, in controlled components, one example I showed you, we can design like some nav bar. One more example I will show you. We created one nav bar yesterday. The nav bar in such a way that we can customize it according to our requirements. Some contents we can keep it. Some contents we can modify. For example, can you tell me how to design this nav bar in such a way that that search area can be removed by anybody if they don't want? That search area must be removed in any navigation bar if they don't want. So this search area, what we done yesterday when we designed a nav bar, we created the search area using an input group. And this search area is a fixed one. That search area is a fixed. That means it is present in every nav bar. So what is our requirement? We should design that search area so that it can be hidden. So some people don't want that search area, they can hide. And some they want, they can put it. So how to handle this? So in the properties, we will do here, we will configure a dynamic expression here. So that means what we will do, we will put a class and the class uses a dynamic value. The dynamic value props dot search bar, props dot search bar. And what is this props dot search bar class? Actually, we are expecting a value props dot search bar. This search bar can take a class. That means we can put it as none. We can put it as inline. We can keep anywhere. That means in any location. So we don't want, we will go to home page. In this nav bar, what we are doing, we want search bar. What is the search bar? Search bar, your wish. You can put a class. You can use a decision making, Boolean true false. Generally, many times we use that. Suppose what is that search bar we are sending a class called dnone. Dnone is a class that means display none. There is no search bar now. That means in the first nav bar, there is no search bar. And here we are adding what D inline. That means the search bar will come. So that means we can even turn on and off certain areas. We can change the layout of certain area. That depends on how you want your content. You can use all your skills of event binding, style binding, class binding techniques. And by using them, we can handle. That means usually we can display any content, hide any content, and we can configure according to our requirement. So this is one simple point about how we can control the components. So a component can be controlled by using the data coming from its parent or by using the events of parent. It's not only data. The events of the parent also can control. They can handle different actions. Let's see one more example. How to design a component which can be controlled by the parent. Now, after learning this, we will learn some more techniques of transporting data from one place to another. When we know the techniques, we can do more with the controlled components. We can do more better with controlled components. For example, let's see another one. If when you are working with any project, can you tell me, so which component, is most commonly used in real world project development? Which component is mostly used in, or which components? So it can be one component or many components. I'm just giving a point. Can you tell me the list of some components which are regularly used in majority projects? So almost several projects require these components, such components. What are the popular components that you see regularly everywhere? One of the popular component that we use regularly is we have a grid. We call these as data grids. Grid is very popular in components. What is the purpose of data grid? So the purpose of data grid is actually data grid. It can handle CRUD operations on data. A data grid can handle CRUD operations on data. It allows you to insert, update, delete. All such interactions you can manage by using this. Anything else? Another most popularly used component is date picker. Date picker is another very popular component used in projects. So that means it allows to pick, to pick a date or time from calendar. So the major components that you will see in projects most commonly used, we have data grids, we have date pickers. Of course, you will see nav bar. So this is dynamic navigation. You will see recently very popular we see regularly is we use charts. The charts components we can use them. So charts, this is nothing but these are graphs actually, various types of graphs. These days people use these for designing dashboards. Dashboards are designed using these kind of charts. Dashboards are very popular. That means generally every dashboard doesn't need a graph, but dashboard is nothing but when you log in into Amazon or Flipkart, so or Swiggy, Zomato, like that, what you will see on the first screen. On the first screen, you will not see what are the services they provide. You will see what are the services you regularly use. That is the dashboard. That means it's not just what they provide, it is about what you use regularly. They will collect that information and they keep as a dashboard. These are very popular. Any third party. So, for example, means for these components, our developers will not waste time in designing them until or unless we don't have any a suitable third party. That means our project needs a grid, and we have seen lot of third parties, they are not satisfying. Then what we ask our developers to do is build it. That means if you don't find anything, then build it. But 99% we avoid building. We will ask our developers not to waste time in building because software development is not about talent show. We don't want to test your talent. We don't want to see your talent skills of designing. That we need only in interview. After that, we don't want to test your talent. We just want the work to be done. We don't care how you hard work you do or what you do, what skills you put in this. We don't care. We want final output and how fast you can do it. It's a business. It's not any talent show anymore. Right? We don't waste time. That is the reason you may see these days all automation tools are trending. You have heard about DevOps. So DevOps is one of the major thing which is going to trend everywhere now. That means everywhere. That means automation of jobs. Automation of jobs means save the time of developers, designers. That means maximum do everything implicitly, automatically. That means don't waste time in manually doing it. We don't want. So that is the reason we depend on several third parties. Already we know, later we will see another third party. Now you see there is a third party Telerik. Telerik is a third party. This Telerik third party provides several components for designing good UI. And observe carefully, these people are the customers of Telerik, Microsoft, IBM. Why Microsoft is a customer of Telerik? Microsoft itself is a development company. It has genius developers who can build anything. They are building operating systems. They are building technologies. After all, they can't build a calendar. After all, they can't build a grid, right? They can, but they don't want their developers to waste the time because somebody is better in this. Let him do. We will just borrow from him and we will use it. IBM is a customer of Telerik. Why IBM need a software to buy? IBM can build it, right? That means why they need components to buy. Their developers are enough to build everything, but we don't want them to waste the time. And let's see here now. We will go to demos. So we will go to here React JS demos. React, Angular, jQuery, Vue, .NET, PHP, Python, everything. Even JSP, everything is available. And you see, we will select to React or .NET or any technology you select. If you select any technology, you will see the first place will be for grid. You will see charts. You will see forms. Of course, we are using forms, but everybody don't need forms. React like people need forms. So technically, you see calendars, which they call as scheduler. Now the concept is any technology. Let's say I will go to .NET, ASP.NET. Then you will see that. So grid, chart, scheduler, date pickers. These are the popular components in any technology in the world. Whether you may be Java or .NET. Of course, they have hundreds of components. They have hundreds of components ready-made. So, but these are the popular components. So they say that most popular ASP.NET components. And it is not just ASP.NET, most popular Angular components. In that also grid will come. That means now what is the point here is, so these components are all controlled ones. They're all controlled. So you can use them, customize them according to your requirement. For example, let's see a React grid. Now, this is the React grid. When you go to interviews with little experience, they will show you such grids. That means they will show you such grids. Let it load. They will show you such grids. In this grid, column name and their values are present. They will show you such grids, and these grids have sort, ascending, descending, filter, and they will give you these grids and they will ask you to design this. That means in interviews for experienced people, they will give such tasks. They will say that design a grid like this, and these all interactions must be there. It must be able to filter, it must be able to sort. And one major point is this grid must be in such a way that it should able to handle any data, not just only employee data. Currently, it is having employee data. Later, if I pass product data, it should able to handle the product data. That means you will not have one grid for employee, one grid for products, one grid for students. You will have only one grid which can handle any kind of data. And every data is not same. One have product ID and one have product name, one have product stock, another have employee name, employee salary, different data. How you will design a table in such a way? Actually, grid means table. How you will design a table in such a way that the table can change according to the data. Table must able to change according to data. You pass the data, table should generate for it. Let's see how to do this. We can do interactions also, but for interactions, some more hooks you have to learn in React. We will see that. Let's create the design here first. So let's see how to create a grid-like component. Let's go to custom components. In the custom components, I am adding a new file, grid.jsx. Or better, I will say data grid.jsx, right? So export function data grid. Okay. What it should return? It should return a div container fluid. Okay. What it should do is it should return a table. This component should return a table. And table, how many columns it needs, we don't know. How many rows it needs, we don't know. It is decided based on data. Whatever data they pass, it should show. How you design a table where there is uncertainty in the columns, uncertainty in the rows, we don't know. Then how you design? So we will create props. And props will control. Now we will design a table. Now actually table will have classes like table and table hover. Table hover. That is the class. Later you can add colors, effects, anything. So these are general bootstrap classes of table. Now after this, we design a table and table will have a caption. You know, tables have caption. Table caption. This caption is dynamic. It will come from props.caption. That means in the props, we will use a caption attribute. That caption attribute property will get the caption and display. Then I will put caption top. Usually captions will come down. In Bootstrap especially, we have to keep it top. You know that every table have a captions. Okay. Next, after that, table have T head and table have T body. You can add a footer also. We have header and body section. In header, we need a row. In this row, how many cells, headings? Headings means you know TH. How many TH? That depends on how many fields he pass. That means how many fields the user they pass into, developer pass into our grid. Those fields we need to display. So what we will do here, so we will put a, that means we don't know how many fields they will pass, but we are sure that they are more than one. That means we are sure that fields is a collection of field names. That means it is an array. That means what we do, we will put a binding expression. Here we are defining what? Props dot fields. Fields we are expecting as an array. So we will use a map. And after mapping, what we have to do, we have to read every field. We have to read every field and we need to generate a TH for every field. We have to generate a table header for every field. And what is the key? Key is what? Field, and the value also what? Field. The value is field. That means now it is going to generate headings. It is going to generate the headings depending on how many headings you pass. There are so many ways. First, what we will do now, let's go to home. In the home, I will remove this nav bar that we used earlier. Now in the home, we will import data grid. We will import the data grid component that we designed. Now I want the data grid here. In the home page, I want the data grid here. So I will put here a simple data grid, and data grid is expecting what? Caption. This is our own property. What is the caption? Is employee data, employee details. And you can see that it is having error because every property is mandatory. That means we have to pass what? Fields. What are the fields? Fields, I will give an array. You can store this in a state and access it directly that array, or directly I'm keeping some array here. So it is having employee ID. So it is having a name. So it is having some salary like this. And you can see the table is generated for that. The table is generated for the data. So here I am adding another data grid. So data grid with a caption. So details, products details and fields. We are configuring the data into this. We have ID and we have name. So we have like price. So we have like stock. And you can see now there is another one. One have 3 columns, another have 4 columns. Now you pass the data, it will generate a table accordingly. It will generate a table accordingly. And beside this design, yeah. So beside the field name here, beside the field name, I have a button and class btn, bi. So bi sort alpha down. And you can see there is a sort button beside every field. That means I'm using 2 tables here. I'm dealing with 2 tables. So we have a sort option there. We can make them work. So how we can make them work? For that, we need to learn how to pass data from one component to another. So for that, some more techniques are there. We'll see. First, let's see the design, how we can create this. You can, now this is the field. You can add anything, right? You can put a drop down and you can open the drop down. User can select any from the drop down. You know how to design the drop down. You saw their data grid contains a drop down, sort ascending, sort descending, filter, like options are there. Of course, if you want to design like that, then what it is not a button. Huh? Then what we need to do, we need to configure a div. And this div will have a class as drop down. It uses a class drop down. And for the clarity's sake, so this is right. Drop down contains a button. And this button we will put here as class as drop down toggler. This is a drop down toggler is there. Drop down toggler will be there. So we have a drop down toggler. Toggle, yeah, drop down toggle will come like this. And what we will do is display inline we will keep, it will be beside. And this will have a btn also. Then it will have a button style. And when we click on the drop down, it should open some options. It should open some options. Then what we need to do, so we will have an unordered list. That means you know how to create a bootstrap dropdown. This will have a list item. And what we need to do, so this uses a class. What is the class name? We have a drop down menu. Drop down menu will be there. We can create a menu, drop down menu. In that list item, we'll have a class. Drop down menu will have a class drop down. drop down menu item. So drop down menu item. So we will put an item. And here we have a sort ascending. Like this we are using. This is only one list item I given. And this should open when you click this button. That means on this button, data BS what? Toggle. Toggle is what? Drop down. Data BS toggle is drop down. And this menu have an ID. The menu have an ID. ID is what? Some menu. And data BS target. Data BS drop down and data BS target. Data BS target is equal to what it is? Hash min. This is nothing but we created a drop down which will open like this. I just added a drop down which will open in this way. That means here I am just using sort ascending. So I will put a span class bi sort alpha down. That means it will have sort ascending. We can add multiple items. It will work everywhere. That means every field uses it. Every field uses that. Everywhere it is going to handle it. That means this is what you saw in their teleric, sort ascending, sort descending. Right. That means here, so I will add one more list item. And this list item says sort descending. And sort alpha what up. And you can see now it is having two options here, sort ascending, sort descending. So we can put some filter. So anything we can add here. Okay, now field is ready. That means we designed the fields. And how about the data below? That is little complicated because how many rows, how many columns, we are not sure. Whatever rows they pass, we need to display. In every row, how many columns are there, we need to access, right? That means now what we have to do, let's go to the data grid. In the data grid, we need to design body. Now what this body contains is rows. How many rows, we are not sure. How many rows, we are not sure. Whatever they pass, we have to read all the rows. So what we will do, fields are separate. We have props dot data. We are expecting data, which is a collection of rows. Then we use what? Map. And what we will do is, we will read every record. Every record is nothing but every item. So we will say every item. For every item, what we have to do? For every item, we need to generate a row. For every item, we need to generate a row. Okay. Now, this row should contain cells. How many rows will be there? That depends on how many records you pass into the data. That's okay. How many items are present? Those number of rows will be created. If 4 items are there, then how many rows will be created? 4. Remember, this item is actually, that item is actually an object which contains ID, name, price, stock, like that. Depends on data. Now what we need to do, for every item, we are generating one row. That is okay. But for every key, we need to generate a column. For every key in this item, for every key in that item, we need to generate a cell. TD is cell. That means in the row, here, for every cell, that means for every key, we need to generate a cell. How to read the keys from an object? How we can read the keys from an object? So to read the keys from object, we learned object manipulation. I told you, we have to use what? Object dot keys. In JavaScript, we have object dot keys. Object dot keys is used to read all the keys from an object. That is what you know in JavaScript object manipulations. Object dot keys, which object? Item. That means it will read all the keys of that particular item. That means actually what is this? It is an array of all keys. Now what we have to do is, if it is an array, we have to read every key. We have to read every key. And important is, after reading every key, here we should print a cell for every key. We should return a cell for every key. But what should be inside that cell? Not key. What should be inside the cell? The value present in that key, not key. That means how to access the value? The value. What is the object? Item. Item of what? Key. It is going to return the key. And of course, TD needs a key. I will put that as key. TR needs a key. So this I will give as what? Item. That's it. Now you can see that. So here it is expecting again data. We need to pass data. From home, we need to pass the data. So we have caption, we have fields. We need to pass data. That means it is expecting data. Data is a dynamic array. And data is an array of what? Objects. In that objects, what are the keys we are having? Employee ID 101. So name, some name, and we have salary, some salary. We are passing some data here. This is one record we are passing into it. Okay. Similarly, for product, we will pass the data. Data is an array of what? Object. It is expecting what? ID. It is expecting name, some name. It is expecting price, some price. It is expecting stock. Stock is true. Or simply it is a string, say available. Like this we are using. Now you can see that it is going to present that. That means it is reading the data and it is presenting the data. It depends on how many details you pass into this. I am passing another product. ID is 2. It is named as some mobile and its price as some price. And it is having some stock. So stock is out of stock. And you can see it is going to display that. That means now you created a grid in such a way that it can change according to your data. That means it's a grid which you can change. So you can set up the colors, effects. You can put a theme of colors and effects. Yesterday we done that, right? We can pass some color theme to change the appearance for this. And observe now here. Later we will make it work also. That means when I say price, it should sort according to that price. Ascending order, descending order display. We can add actions into the row. Observe here now. We are generating a row. Okay, good. In that row, the cells are generated. And what I am doing here is, this is the cell which is generated for every item. In this cell, we are displaying the details. Here, this cell is designed in the row. That means in the row, the cells are created. For example, I'm using another TD in that. In the TD, I'm adding a button. So class BTN and BTN warning. And you can see that. So I'm adding a button here. And this button will have, so BI and BI pen fill. That means it is a button which shows edit. It is showing some edit option like. I'm adding, so another cell here. So that means another button, and we say BTN danger, and we have BI trash. So trash fill, and you can see there is a delete one. These belongs to certain actions to perform. So in the table row in header, we have a TH actions. And what are the actions? You can define those actions. That means the edit action, the delete action. So generally for experienced React developers, they give these kind of tasks to do in interviews. They will say that just create one grid which can handle all CRUD operations. We will give you offer letter. That's it. We don't need to ask any question. We don't need to test anything else. Just you design it and show us enough. That's enough for a React developer. That's enough for a React developer if he can do that. That means in this we can involve everything that we learned. Style binding, class binding, event binding, which we will learn some more points later. How do we transport data from the components managed? So we will use with real-time data. Real-time data means currently we are hard coding the data. In the next level, we will bring from database and we will show. And we will edit and update in the database. We will delete from the database. We will insert into the database. We can perform all the operations. Now in this grid, suppose I want to provide a facility to add a new record. That means I need to add a new record into the table. And remember, I want to add a new record into the table. So in this table, where we will keep here, in the header itself, suppose we have a div with a button as new. So it is going to give that new here. And class BTN and BTN primary. And what this have to do is, so BTN primary. And this is the button we are having. Now what this have to do is, when you use this button, that means just a plus mark I'm adding. You can put later any symbols or. Now when you click this button, it should open a pop-up that should contain a form with the same fields. How? This is dynamic form now. That means a form is generated according to your data. It is not a standard form you are designing. Previously, what we done, we created a standard form, fix. It will have these fields, these options. Now, how you design a form? You will get that idea if you have ever worked with such third parties. Generally, people who learn JavaScript also, JavaScript jQuery. In jQuery, these kind of grids are available. So it's not Angular React only. In web development, lot of components are designed by using jQuery. So more than React and Angular, currently the world of web is occupied with jQuery. Because before Angular React, we were using jQuery only to design everything. Now we are migrating to Angular and React. You can count how many websites are there designed with React or designed with Angular. You cannot count how many are designed with jQuery. Millions. So React Angular, you count on fingers. You can say 10, 15, 20. You can name them. That means popular React apps means you can name them. There are not millions. Now we are changing. All the web is occupied already with jQuery. If you have ever worked with such jQuery third parties and grids, you will have an idea. That idea of how it may be designed, how you can get that information, how we can create that. And now, of course, we can open a pop-up on new. How we can open a pop-up on new? To open a pop-up on new, so we can create a div. This div will use a model fade and ID as suppose add new uh, add new something. In this we have a div. This is class as model dialog, and we have a div. This will have a class as model content, and this have a div. So class as model header. In this header, we will have a heading saying that add new. So here I will put, so dynamic expression props dot caption. Add new props dot caption. Props dot caption is add new employee details, add new product details. That is the caption what you use, the same caption you are handling here. That means the same title we can display there. However, so this is a model. So we have a div and class name as model body. Model body. Now what we need to do here is, I will just put here and it should open on the button clicker. So what we have to do, database target is what hash add new. Database what toggle. Toggle is what model. This is nothing but on new, it will open a pop-up. In the pop-up, it will display that information. And in this pop-up, I want to show the data. So we have model dialog is there. Model dialog centered. I'm just using a model dialog centered. This is the original actually. It will come with centered. Okay. Now what we need to do is here in this model, we need to generate the body. This is the body actually. In this body, we need to create a form. In that form, the elements must be according to what data you pass. That means now tell me how I can create a data list. Suppose data list. Data list, in that every field name must be term. Every field name must be term. And every definition. For every field name, term should come. And for that, a text box should come. As of now, a simple approach. So for every field, we need to generate here. So what we do dynamically, what we need to do? So we need to use props dot what fields, fields dot what map. Okay. So we will read every field. For every field, what we need to do, design a div container. In that data term must be, what the data term must be? Data term must be the field, am I right? And we will have a key. Key is what? Field. And what is the data definition? Data definition we will keep as input type as what? Text. And we can use a name. This name is dynamically field name. The name is dynamically the field name, right? We have to use the field name dynamically. This need to be generated for everyone. And after that, so we will keep a div and we will put a class as what? Model footer. In the model footer, I will just put a button, suppose register. So class BTN and BTN primary something. That means we are just adding register. And you can see now, I click on the new, it should get those details. It should get the details. And I need to close it. I click on new, it should get the product details. That means when I click on this new, it should get the product details. That means for that, so we need to generate the data. That means here it is using only one. So we need to design in such a way that every field data it should access and it will use it. Right? Now to implement this, one more concept you need to know. I will show you that concept also. Here, the data BS toggle, you see here the new, it is showing employee only. Here also it is showing employee only, right? That means for both of these, data grid is using the same one. Data grid is using the same one, but we haven't given the same data now. That means what we have to do for this data grid, what fields you passed, those fields it should use, right? Now what it is doing, it is using only the data coming for the first. Generally what we have to do is, this model also we have to design for every table individual. That means every table should need a model individual. And that model will work only for that table. It will work only for the table. As of now, we will leave it, but later we will see how to implement that. For that, we need to learn one more concept. I will give you this example. In this example, what we did, so we have to go to custom what? Components. In the custom components, we need to add what is it? Data grid.jsx. Data grid.jsx. I will copy this. So this is data grid.jsx. Okay, next we need to implement the grid. So go to home.jsx. In home.jsx, we need to implement the grid. I will copy these two examples. First, you try up to this. Then we will make it work. We will make it delete. We can make it edit. We will make it filter. We will add more complications into this. Here still so many things we need to understand. But first you must able to create a reusable design. And the design must be for different kinds of data. Here, according to the situation, how it can change the models or pop-ups, anything. For that, generally we have to implement a concept called conditional rendering. This we haven't implemented in our grid. That's the reason every time it shows the same. Conditional rendering is a concept where a component can render different content according to the situation. Component is same, but it will render different content, different layout according to the situation. If we can implement this conditional rendering, then we can achieve what we are looking for. We can handle that. What is conditional rendering technically is nothing but, so conditional rendering is the process of returning various types of content, various types of content according to the state and the situation. So a component can render different content dynamically. A component can render different content dynamically. That is actually conditional rendering. Now, how this is possible? That's this is also a concept in JavaScript. How you can create a function which can return different values. Can a function have multiple returns? Usually function have a return. Can a function have multiple returns? Yes, we can have a function with multiple returns. How do we do that? Function name, and here we can define a condition. And what you can do, if the condition matches, then it can return one markup. It can return a fragment. If condition doesn't match, then it can return another. That means it can return totally another. It can return another. This is on true, this is on false. So it can return. That means actually this is what it is returning, the markup. This is returning a complete different markup. Complete different markup. Different markup. That means rendering the content completely different. Different kind of content you can do. That means you can have a component in such a way that which can return different. As of now, you see here in this example, both are showing employee only. And suppose I remove employee, there is no employee grid. That means only product grid. So it will get product only. So the concept is working fine. Only the point is the first data you pass is the same data used for the second. No, it should conditionally change it. If data is employee, employee. If data is product, then product. That means we must able to change it. As of now, it's okay, it works. But it is using only the first data. How we can make a component to change? The complete presentation it can change. Complete presentation also we can change. As of now, for example, see, suppose this is a grid. In this grid, it is displaying data in a tabular form. I want the same data in a card style. I want the same data in a card style. I need to change from grid to card. How? How you will change this into a card? And I don't want to design another component for card. That means if you are planning to design a different component for card, that is not the solution. The same component should able to change into grid to card. That means how this component can change itself from grid to card to grid. How it can change? That means we must able to change. So that is what generally we call conditional render. That means, for example, here, when you design a grid, here, this is all the content it is rendering actually. This is what it is rendering. And this is what it is rendering. So I will cut this. This is what it is rendering. It is returning that, right? I will do one thing. I will copy this return also. Okay. This is what it is returning. Now we write a condition. If props dot layout, if props dot layout is equal to layout is a grid layout. If equal to layout is grid, then it should return this. It should return this. Otherwise, else, what it should do is it should return something else. It should return something else. We have a container fluid. That means it should return the same data in a card style. That means what we are asking here is we are saying that if the props is using the layout as grid, then print like a table. And if it is not a grid, then you return some other JSX element, right? Other JSX element. Then what we have to do? So here we need to read what we need to read. So we need to read all the data, for example. First, we will just read the data. That means what? Props dot what? Data. Data dot what? Map. And we read every item. And for every item, we want to generate a div. And this div, you know that this div will have a class as what? Card. Padding to, margin to. This card have a style as width. Width is some 200 pixel like this. So that is the width we are defining for it. And this div will have a key, and I will add the key as what? Item. But remember, this is card. This is the card layout. The card layout will design a card. So in this, what we need, we keep a div. In this, we have class. Class as what? Card header. In this, we keep another one. So what is that? This is card body. Card body. And in this, we have card footer. You know, cards have these three things. Card footer. And here we have a button. This is class BTN warning, and BI pen fill like this we are having. We have another button. So class name BTN danger, and BI trash fill. So we are using these two. Now you can see that here it is showing card style. It is showing card style. So I will keep here this as deflex, and it will have a flexible card. Now important in this, how to display the data. What is the card header? Card header is the key. How you access the key? How you access the key? Field name. We need to access the field name, right? Actually, if I access like this, that means prop dot what? Fields, right? Fields. Fields, huh? Fields of 0. Fields is an arena. That means fields of 0. That means it will get the ID because it is having the field. That means what we have to do, we have to use here, suppose item of this one. That means fields of 0, it will get those IDs. How you get the data in the card body? What we need to do? Yeah. So it uses item dot what props and props dot what fields of what one. That means it is going to display the product names, right? We are going to display the product price. That means here we will display a data list, a data term, so and a data definition. So in the data definition, we are using this, and in the data term, what we use? So props dot what fields of what one. It is going to read that and display them. And what it is doing is it is displaying the term okay and type price. Actually, later we will put a iterator also. Later I will put a iterator also. Just I am presenting the data. Now see what is the layout currently. Layout is card. How to change it to grid? In the home, just put an option. What is it? Layout. Layout as what? Grid. You pass the layout as grid, then it will display as a grid. And you pass the layout as some card. Okay, so it is going to change it. That means you just change the layout. So layout as what? Grid. The layout as grid, then it is going to display the grid. You can put a drop down and ask them to select which one they want. Is it a card? That's any simple thing, nothing complex here. In the home page, we will put a simple div. We will put a select and we will put an option. What that option says, choose layout, and that option is having two things. What is it? One is grid. In that value, we will pass as what? Grid. Value is grid. We have another option. Option is what? Card. And the value is what? Value is a card. Now this value must be passed into it. So we will configure a constant. So layout and okay, so handle change. Handle change will get an event argument. What it should do? Set layout. Set layout is what? E dot target dot value. It should bind with which one? On change of drop down. It should use handle change. Handle change. That means what is the approach here? The layout will be changing dynamically. You choose layout here. So I will put a header. I'll just put a header layout. Okay. And you can see here, choose layout. A card style, it will get the cards. Use choose layout like a grid style, it will put the grid. That means it is dynamically changing the complete design. That means it is dynamically changing the complete layout. This is how it can render anything conditional. That means a component will have a complete different behavior depending on the situation and the requirements. You don't need to design multiple components. One component can render different. That is possible with the help of this mechanism. So this is usually required to design such content. Once you know this, then you know according to situation what to show. We can design that. This is the part of conditional rendering. So I will give an example here. So what we have to do now, we have to change, what is it? Data grid. Data grid dot what? JSX. Data grid JSX we changed. We kept with a conditional render. And next one, home dot what? JSX. In home dot JSX, we added a selection of layout so that they can change. So how we can handle controlled components? This is working with controlled components, right? So uncontrolled components and controlled. And in this one more concept, you have seen how conditionally we can render different content. I used a if condition. You can use switch case. If else, if else, if else, if anything. You can use a switch case, which will return different markups. Every case will return a different markup if there are many. If there are many, we don't prefer else if, else if. We better go with what? Switch. So we can render different contents. Now, to do more with these components, we need to learn how to manage various kinds of content in our component. For that, we need to learn about React hooks. We have to learn about hooks. Already we learned some hooks. What are the hooks we learned? React related hooks we learned. One is use state, another one use effect. But React have several more hooks which are responsible for making your component more effective. That we will see in next session. Tomorrow we will do that. So tomorrow we are going to learn a very important concept of React, that is hooks. What is hooks and how these hooks work? Remember, React have some hooks native, others are third party. For example, use formic. It is not a React related hook. It is related to some third party. React hooks, they have stable sum. Those hooks we will see. We already used use reference also, right? We will see the other hooks, how they work. Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay, right.